How do we know if we're getting any better? That's the whole purpose of training, isn't it? I'm Peter Burlingame of the Self-Defense Initiative. Today I'd like to talk to you about a standards drill I've put together. And the whole idea is to give us a metric that we can use to determine if we're getting any better. One of our metrics is that how long it takes us to perform a task. And the timer allows us to do that. So I've got a shot timer. There's no reason for you not to have one of these days. A good shot timer that's dedicated will run you 110, 120 bucks, and you can get them for, as apps for your smartphone. So for just a few dollars, there's no reason not to have it, and it's a great training tool. So how do we know if we're doing any better, if our performance is increasing? We have to have metrics to measure ourselves against. We have time, but we also have to measure our accuracy. The whole point of this is not that I'm just quickly throwing lead downrange, but I'm quickly throwing lead downrange in an accurate manner. So that is determined by the target we're shooting at. I'll show that to you in a moment. So this drill I've come up with is something that's quick and easy, doesn't run through a lot of ammo. It's a around 25 shot drill. We don't have a lot of money to spend on this. We don't have a lot of time to spend. So this drill was specifically meant for a quick tune-up or a quick checking of your skills. This is the sort of thing you do at the beginning of every training session, or maybe at the end of the training session, and you do it constantly, every week or every month, and then you keep track of it and see how your performance is doing. Are you getting better? Are you getting worse? Are you better at some things and worse at others? This is a range of different skills that I think are realistic. It's going to be anything from 1 yard through 3 to 5, 7, and out to 25 yards. Now, while that's getting to be long distance, there's a good chance that most of your shooting is going to be closer range. So this drill is weighted towards the closer range material. Now, a lot of this is done from the ready position, because there may be a situation where you've switched from yellow to red or from yellow to orange, and you think there's a distinct possibility you're about to get attacked, and you go ahead and draw your pistol to a ready position because you know that there's something in your environment you may have to address. I think drills that always start from the holster are unrealistic, because there may be that time when you're walking through your house at night because you've heard a noise. So shouldn't we practice from the ready position? So that first stage was at 7 yards, and I had 1.5 seconds to put 2 shots into center of mass. I'll show you that target in a little bit so you can see what the center of mass is, but it's basically a 9-inch circle. Sometimes we have to place our shots more precisely, so this target also has an ocular cavity target, which is sort of a trapezoid that mimics the under the eyebrows to the bridge of the nose. And so that's what that looks like. The next stage, so the first stage was 7 yards from the ready position. We sidestep and take 2 shots, center of mass, in 1.5 seconds. We're going to move up to 5 yards, once again from the ready position, but this time we're going to fire 1 headshot in 1.5 seconds, and there'll be no movement. So no movement, 5 yards, headshot, 1.5 seconds. Let's see what that looks like. Alright, so at this stage, we're going to fire 1 headshot in 1.5 seconds from the ready position. 1 headshot, 1.5 seconds, 5 yards from the ready. And you can see I made the time without any issue. Alright, so my time on that was 1.08, so I had plenty of time. Once again, gun's already in my hand, target's at 5 yards, that's sort of across the living room distance, and simulates, it's midnight or sometime in the early morning. I've heard a noise or somebody in my house possibly, and I have my gun already in my hand, and then there he is, and I have to make a precise shot to stop him. The next stage is at 3 yards, and now we're going to work from the holster. And once again, it's a headshot in 1.5 seconds. So we're a little bit closer, but it's a harder target, and we're having the difficulty added on of having to draw from concealment and still shoot in a short time frame. Why the headshot at 3 yards? Because at 3 yards the guy's really close to you and he'll be on you in about a second, and you need to shut him down now. You may hit him in the heart and totally destroy it, and it can still function for 10, 15, 20 seconds. And being that close to you, he will be on you in a short period of time and have plenty of time to hurt you. So we need to go for that central nervous system hit if we're that close. And being that close, we can make the central nervous system hit. Let's see what that looks like. 3 yards, 1 headshot, 1.5 seconds from the... Okay, so once again, that was 3 yards from the draw, headshot, 1.5 seconds. I did that in 1.67, so a little slow. So that means that's something I'm going to have to work on. I'm going to have to work on my first shot draw to a small target. Good piece of information to have. The next one is going to be at 1 yard. It's from the holster, and we're going to do a palm heel strike, which I know is controversial, and then we're going to back out and do a headshot in 2 seconds. So this simulates I've had a failure in my awareness. I've been attacked, the guy is on me, I need to get him off of me and step back, create a little bit of distance, and shut him down with a central nervous system hit. Alright, so one more time, that was 1 yard, or basically arm's length, from the holster, and I had 2 seconds to do a palm heel strike, draw my pistol, and make the headshot. Now we're going back to 3 yards again. Alright, we're back at 3 yards, and here we're going to take we're going to work from the holster. We're going to take a side step, because I think getting off the line is a good idea, and we're going to fire 3 shots in 2 seconds. So we've got a couple things going on there. We've got the draw, we've got the side step, and we're firing 3 shots. Why 3? Because I want some recoil control in there. Alright, so I did my side step, drew, fired 3 shots, and my first shot was at 1.45. You can see my draw time's improving a little bit. And second shot at 1.67, third shot at 1.19. So I was well within the 2 seconds that I had allotted for that. So once again, the drill teaches getting off the line with that side step while you're drawing, and some recoil control, working the gun, keeping it on target, watching the sights rise and fall through the recoil so you know what rhythm to pull the trigger at. Next we're moving to 10 yards, and we're going to be shooting from the ready position. We're going to do a headshot again. We'll have 2.5 seconds for that. Alright, so we're at 10 yards. We're going to work from the ready position, and we're going to have to fire a headshot in 2.5 seconds. So this is another one of those, it's you've gone from yellow to orange, there's a distinct threat, you have your pistol in your hand, all of a sudden, boom, there is the threat. You've got to make a precise shot. It's 3 o'clock in the morning and there's an intruder in your house and he has your wife or your kids hostage. So you need to go for that headshot. You need to do it quickly. So 2.5 seconds at 10 yards is not a lot of time to really do a good trigger pull, but that's what's going to be required to get this. Okay, I managed to do that in 1.4 seconds. This is something that I'm pretty good at. I've got a lot of trigger time, but it's really easy because you're doing it in a compressed time frame to know when the gun's going to go off and then anticipate the recoil. So this is one of those positions where it'd be very easy to flinch and get a shot low. So the next stage is 25 yards, and will also be from the ready position. And we're going to fire 3 shots center of mass. Alright, so I'm at 25 yards, and I'm going to fire 3 shots in 5 seconds from the ready position. Now 25 yards is kind of long for a defensive situation, but there may be that one time that it makes sense. You have the North Hollywood shootout with the police shooting at the bank robbers. You have an armed citizen in Texas doing something outrageous, shooting a person that was in a gunfight with a police officer at measured 183 yards with a .357 Magnum revolver. So there may be that time when you have to take that long shot, so it makes sense to practice for it. Just don't spend all your time on it because the chances of it needing to be there are small. So we've got to fire 3 shots in 5 seconds. There's no draw. It's from the ready position. This kind of shows that we have that balance, speed and accuracy. Being so far away, we have more time to be more careful about our sight alignment and our trigger pull. And I finished under the time, but not by much. This is pretty tight. First shot was at 1.97. Now, about 1.5 to 3/4 of a second was used in getting the gun up on target, so I spent over a second working on the sights and the trigger because I'm a long way away from that target. Second shot was at 3.29, so my split was 1.32. And last shot was at 4.42, split was 1.13. So it's taking me a little over a second to fire each shot. I'm taking a second to work the sights and the trigger to get a precise hit at distance. We're going to move to 2 yards and we're going to work from the holster. I'll talk to you about that when we get up there. By somebody 2 yards away from me, I'm drawing my pistol, putting rounds into them while I'm trying to make distance. At some point in time during that process, my gun's going to go dry, and I'm going to have to perform a reload and then fire 2 more shots. So this is shoot the gun until you're empty, and I hope you haven't been paying attention to how many rounds that are left in your gun, because I want it to be a surprise. I want this to be a, oh my God, what's going on? My gun's empty moment, and you have to perform an emergency reload. A true emergency reload, not one of these fake ones where we know that I've got 2 rounds left in the gun and I'm gonna have to perform a speed reload. It being a surprise to you will make it a little bit more difficult and a little bit more realistic. For this drill, we have 6 seconds to perform the stage. Once again, I'm 2 yards away from the target. I'm going to draw and fire until the gun is empty while I'm backing out. And then I'm going to reload and fire 2 more shots. Alright, so I did that in 6.40. You'll notice, or maybe you noticed, that my slide didn't lock back. Old magazines, these magazines are, I think Generation 2 mags, and didn't lock the slide back, and so I didn't have that signal to let me know the gun was empty. That messed me up a little bit and put me a little bit over the time. Is that realistic? I think so. But I forged ahead anyway. I pulled the mag out, put in a new one, ran the slide, fired my last 2 shots. Our last stage, and remember at this point we've only fired about 18 to 20 rounds. Our last stage is at 5 yards, and we're going to be working from the holster. We're going to sidestep, fire 3 shots at 1 target, and then we're going to fire 4 shots at a second target in 3.5 seconds. So to do this, you have to have 2 of these targets. And this simulates either 2 bad guys or 1 bad guy that's moved. So he's here, and I fired at him. Now he's over here. I've got to transition, fire at a different location. So 2 bad guys or 1 bad guy that's moved. So 3 shots in 1 target, 4 shots in another with a sidestep, 5 yards. Alright, so on this target it actually has the various stages laid out, so you know exactly what you're supposed to do. It's 7 yards from the ready position. You're going to sidestep, fire 2 shots, center of mass in 1.5 seconds. 5 yards, ready position, 1 headshot, 1.5 seconds, and on through. And then at the bottom we have, sort of a way of scoring. There's the old traditional, marksman, sharpshooter, expert, master, that sort of thing. So if you have 5 misses, you failed. If you've got 4 misses, you're an operator. If you've got 2 misses, you're an instructor. And if you've got only 1 miss or less, you're a master. This is a pretty tough thing, so expect to have at least 1 miss. If you're running this clean, you're doing really, really well. Let's take a look at the whole target, and I'll explain how I made it and what it looks like. All right, now this target, I just made it using word processor. You go to Insert and Shapes, and I've got a trapezoid, and I just measured the distance from the corner of my eyes, underneath my eyebrow, and then towards the tip of my nose, and then made a nice thick line. And then for the center of mass, I just have a 9-inch circle. Once again, made the line nice and thick. This is something you can do yourself. This is on 11 by 17 paper. You may not have access to that. If that's the case, you can do this on 2 separate sheets of paper. Have the head shot on one piece and the body on the other. If you want this from me, I'm happy to send it to you. If you send me an email at vigunfighter@earthlink.net. I'll just send you a direct copy of this, and you can print them out yourself. So, targets don't have to be anything fancy. This is representative of realism. This is what the ocular cavity size is. This is what your center of mass size is. And you already have the information for what the various stages are. So this is very simple for you to put together at home. All right, for our last stage, we're at 5 yards. We're working from the holster, or concealed if that's the way you carry. I'm going to sidestep, draw while I'm sidestepping and firing 3 shots at one target. Then I'm going to sidestep again the other direction. I'm going to fire 4 shots at another target. So this simulates either multiple targets or one guy that's moving, and I'm going to have to track him. And there's going to be some recoil control involved because I'm going to be firing 3 shots and then 4 shots rather quickly. I have 3.5 seconds to do this, so it's a tight stage. Okay, so that concludes this standards drill. Once again, this is something you should shoot on a regular basis, either weekly or monthly. It only takes a half a box of ammo, just a few minutes to shoot. And it gives you a metric to measure yourself against to see how you're doing, progressing over time, and if there's any particular skills you need to work on. Let's take a look at this target and see what I did wrong and what I did right. Alright, so this was the main target I was shooting at. This was the secondary target that I used for the last drill. And you can see I had several misses, and this was the 4 shots on that last drill, the second target, and I had 2 misses on that. So it is certainly a challenging target, and if you're only running 1 or 2 misses or none, you're doing very, very well. If you're running this clean, I've only run this clean a couple of times, and it's been a while since I've shot this, which shows. So I have 1. These broke the line. 2. I have 3 misses, and that puts me in the operator class, which is pretty poor. I usually run in at least the instructor or the master class. So obviously I need to do some work on my basic skills. So 1 drill, half a box of ammo, 10 minutes of your time, gives you something to measure against, and you can increase your performance. Thanks for watching. I'm Peter Burlingame. Be safe out there.